Morning, this is Kamera again. We're on day number 63, Deuteronomy 14 through 16. So that's 14, 15, and 16. Today's reading talks about the animals that the children of Israel are allowed to eat, the ceremonial clean animals. They cannot eat the ones that are unclean, and the clean ones are considered as the ones that do not have a split hooves or choose cud, and they couldn't be one or the other. Both of those had to meet criteria for the animals, or those are the criteria in order to have a clean animal. That was they could not have split hooves or a chew cud. Yesterday I mentioned that they can eat unceremonial clean animals, and I read that wrong, so I went back and I read it again, and it said that they can be unceremonial clean or clean. Not the animal. The animal must still be ceremonial clean in order to eat. And it also went through where today's lesson reading also mentioned the marine animals they can eat, and the birds and the insects that were considered as clean and unclean, like fins and scales for the marine are clean. Just certain animals of birds you couldn't eat, like eagles and that type of thing. So, and certain insects. So you can eat insects, but certain ones you could not. This was mentioned before earlier in earlier books. So they're just basically reinforcing what is clean, what is considered as clean, what is considered as unclean, for sacrificing, for eating, and basically that's it. And then again, tithe. Reinforced paying the tithe, and if you live too far to bring your tithe, then you can sell your tithe, and then when you get where you're going to pay your tithe, then you purchase your other tithe. Remember, their tithe were considered their tithe were animals. It was grain, it was oil, it was also gold, whatever substances they got. So if the animals, it was too much for them to bring the animals, and they would sell them, and then when they get where they were going, then they would purchase more. And he mentions releasing debtors. So that was covered in today's reading as well. Releasing debtors, people who worked for you as slaves. You can release them after 7 years. You're to release them after 7 years. And also giving to the poor. In the Bible mention there's always going to be poor. Don't be tight-fisted with the poor, and help with the right spirit. Don't be mean-hearted. Don't refuse the poor. And yeah. Oh, also I forgot to mention with the tithe. In the tithe it mentioned if you do right by the tithe, then your work will be blessed. I wanted to mention that. But yeah, be generous and don't be tight-fisted with the poor. Releasing the slaves talks about the sacrificing of the animals. Like, for instance, if the animal was, they mentioned these earlier, just reiterating these things. If the animal was lame, you cannot sacrifice a lame animal. It also mentions somewhere in there, if an animal died of natural causes, you're not supposed to eat those. So a lot of this stuff was mentioned earlier, I believe in Leviticus. Might have been in Exodus as well. Certain things that you just cannot that are unacceptable as offerings and to eat. Talks again about the festivals and the Passover, the celebrations, all that. Yeah, we read all this stuff, but again, these are this is the new generation, and they're about to be separated. They're about to be given their territories, their lands. So Moses is going through all of this again with the new generations, and yeah, we have to read about it again. He also mentions the appointments of judges and officials for each tribe. You need to appoint officials and judges for each tribe, and they should be fair. Make sure they're fair. So that's basically it. Day number 63, Deuteronomy 14 through 16. And yeah, I do it, and I admonish you guys to read it just like I read it, and I discovered today that I need to go back and read something else, because what I told you guys about the unceremonial clean animals, who's to know if I made any other mistakes? Right. So it's best that you read it yourself. That way you get a clear understanding, and I'm sure you're going to miss something. You're going to catch something that I missed. But yeah, I'm glad I caught that. I did mention they can eat any animal for meat, when that is not the case. He said they can be unclean and still eat. Before they could not. They had to be ceremonial clean. But there you have it. Day number 63, Deuteronomy 14 through 16. You have a God-filled blessed day.